Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso at thewatchbox.com. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. It's in the description below. Reach out to me at tmosso at thewatchbox.com. It is rare I get to discuss an entirely new movement and new model from Grand Seiko, but this is both. I present to you the 2020 40mm stainless steel 1,000-piece limited edition Grand Seiko 60th anniversary commemorative Heritage High Beat 36,000 vibration per hour SLGH003, a moderately sized watch with an enormous name. It is almost an Ottoman emperor by virtue of its title count, but there's a lot to love here. Now, 12 millimeters thick, it's actually fairly thin by Grand Seiko standards, 40 millimeters in diameter, it's 47 millimeters from lug to lug, and 50.4 millimeters from end link to end link. The timepiece is remarkably comfortable on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist. And as you can see, it fits easily underneath a cuff. It's a thin watch with a canted conical bezel. It's not too broad across the wrist, though when you add the end links, it is a little bit larger. Off the bracelet, I could recommend it for a 13.5 centimeter circumference wrist. On the bracelet, size up 1 centimeter. Now, the timepiece has a lot of substance to it, and I don't know if anything has changed about how Grand Seiko builds its bracelets, but this one is the first I've experienced that has the same structural integrity I've come to expect from modern Rolex and Omega bracelets. So that might be the unsung hero of this model year in this watch, the simple fact that the bracelet feels a whole lot more redoubtable in the hand and on the wrist. Now, it's a 3-link design with relatively broad individual links, and it has a handsome and muted satin finish across its top. You can see there's a little bit of a rolled beveling if you go down the shoulders of the links, and then they're polished on their outer face. Because this is a steel Grand Seiko bracelet, you can see that it has a set of screws fixing the removable links. The titanium always uses pins and sleeves, but steel uses screws. There's a half link on either side, and you can see that you actually get quite a bit of adjustability. A lot of small cross-section links means that you're probably going to get the right size. You can see that there's a single swing arm deployant clasp with a yellow gold insert with the Grand Seiko logo, twin trigger release. We're going to roll back to the case itself, and this is where that Zaratsu tin plate manual polishing comes into play. You've probably heard it. It's not the samurai sword smithing for your wrist that some make it out to be. What it is, though, is a very intricate tin plate polishing system, first developed in Europe, and the Zalitz machine is used to create it. It takes 3 years to learn this craft, which allows you to optically finish, and I mean mirror finish, stainless steel, titanium, or precious metals. The result is what the Swiss would call poly noir, but whereas the Swiss use it for small movement parts, this black polishing by the Zaratsu artists creates a mirror finish on a component the size of a case, meaning this case is literally hand finished. It's also attractive with a contrast between satin and polish, curves as well as sharp facets. Screw down crown, 100 meters water resistant, and then there's a bezel which is beautifully detailed. As you can see, it's stepped in from the case flank to articulate the design and break up the visual mass a bit more. Then you have this conical portion. Then there's a narrow vertically finished satin band before you get to the sapphire, which is slightly cambered to give a little bit of a plexiglass look. And we have a Grand Seiko corporate blue metallic dial that seems to be bottomless, gleaming and lustrous. You see the indices appear to float on the dial rather than sit upon it. There's a chapter ring outboard, a sloped rayhot against which to read the minutes and the seconds. And of course we have a gold Grand Seiko logo. Several colors, silver, gold, and red. It's an interesting dial because, as with all Grand Seiko dials, the hands as well as the indices, the frame for the date, and the Grand Seiko logo are all manually finished by artisans who specialize in these dial furniture components. And they use diamond-tipped milling tools to create these tiny micrometric sculptures, which are then manually applied. So this is a hand-finished dial with all those little parts exquisitely finished at the micro level by guys and gals who just make these parts all day long. Now turn the watch over, and This is probably the first truly good-looking standard Grand Seiko that is not Crador movement. It is impressive. It's the new generation 9SA5. So many changes here. Let's start with the basics. Now a twin mainspring barrel, and you can see the twin barrels under their barrel bridge. It has an 80-hour power reserve instead of the previous 55. It has an overcoil hairspring instead of the previous flat hairspring, a full balance bridge in place of the previous half bridge, and a free-sprung regulator so that it is like a Rolex, free-sprung with a full bridge and more shock tolerant as a result. It's adjusted in 6 positions, and with that overcoil hairspring, the watch hairspring will breathe concentrically and the watch will keep consistent time, neither gaining nor losing in those 6 positions. But wait, there's more. There's a new escapement. It is a dual impulse. It's not a direct dual impulse, but it's a direct and indirect escapement. It's actually similar in many regards to the Omega coaxial, and it is a low-friction escapement that improves the precision of the watch while helping to improve the power reserve, which was a major goal of the 9SA5. Much to love here. It's also open, more visible, and more beautiful, with richer stripes, broader bevels, and though principally machine finished, it is genuinely good looking. Watchmaker built, watchmaker regulated, and when the time comes, watchmaker serviced. It is a lifetime movement, same as any Rolex or Omega caliber, and for the first time, it is truly the technical peer of those movements, as it also beats away at 36,000 vibrations per hour like a Zenith El Primero, so 80 hours of power reserve, and you get that high beat 36,000 vibration per hour dance of the smooth stepping seconds hand. There is stop seconds, there is a quick set date, all of this with a slimmer profile. It's actually 15% slimmer than the previous 9S movement that originally debuted back in 1998. So this 47 jewel monster is full of innovation, and this 1,000 piece limited edition, beautiful inside and out, is destined to be a Grand Seiko all-timer and a true landmark watch. Reach out to Tim Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.